Hello and welcome to Groundhog Jungle. Today we're going to be talking about Space Jam. I'm Alex Hillman.
And I'm Matt Fleming.
So, Space Jam. Now, just a sort of a note here before we get started. We have actually recorded this already. This is a replacement video because for some reason the video to the last recording got corrupted and is unrecoverable. So the only other option other than doing this would be to learn all the audio of the old video and then mime it
I thought about
silently.
this. Do what they did with the Ricky Gervais podcast and animate it. I mean, that would take a while.
Yeah, I don't know which one of those would be more time-consuming
but
or pointless.
We're probably both quite good at learning lines, so the former would probably suit us better. I think we could take to that. How good are you at your animation skills?
Well, how good is anyone at their animation skills?
The Looney Tunes studio, they know what they're doing.
Nice segue.
I know,
Yeah.
Space Jam features this little guy. Mr. Bugs Bunny, who's by this point had been around for about 40 years, 50 years, wasn't exactly relevant to kids. It's a really weird idea, this film.
It is a weird idea. I mean, I don't know. Have you looked up the date of when the genesis of Bugs Bunny started? Because I would have thought it would be older than that.
Probably the 50s. This book that Alex has, and I have a copy of as well, The Tale of Bill Murray, in it he talks about it being like a very obviously commercial idea, and he talks about sort of how corporate is, and so there's not really enough room for a good film in there because it's, hey, here's Michael Jordan, here's the Looney Tunes group. And
I think when it came out, a lot of people would have agreed with that. And however, I think that as a film, it's perfectly enjoyable. I think I've got a little anecdote, which is going to be the second time you've heard it. But
I'll look interested.
But yeah, look interested. So, in fact, I can tell it better this time, because last time I was quite disappointed with my retelling of it. And I say retelling because I'm sure I've told you at least 5 times in normal life. So, Space Jam, 1997, perfectly sort of innocent film. I went to see it, really, really enjoyed it. My friend Rory rang me up one day, and at this point in my life I had a real, I don't know why I'm telling you like it's new information, I had a real issue with kind of horror films, and just really didn't want to go to the cinema and be in a position where I was going to kind of be forced to see a horror film. I think
so the stabbing halfway through Space Jam would have terrified you. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I
know. And when I saw that, especially for the second time, having already seen it, I was very surprised. Different cut. No, no pun intended. No, that didn't happen. And he wanted to go. My friend wanted to go and see something that was released around the same time, called. I've forgotten its name. Bruce Willis, sci-fi.
The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. Has it also got Mila Jovovich in it as well?
Yeah.
From
Resident Evil and other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting her confused with Famke... No, I'm getting her confused with the Run Lola Run.
Franca
Potente, who was in Creep, I believe.
She was, yeah.
Yeah. Not the Creep that was released recently, but the Creep set in the London Underground.
Yes, the slightly better Creep.
Yes. Did we go and see that together?
No, you wrote a review about it.
And it went on Sam North's website, didn't it?
And it was a really good review. I saw it afterwards, I think. And then I read your review again, and I was like, this is a really good review.
Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, so he wanted to go and see The Fifth Element, and I thought, it might be a horror, even though it really isn't a horror. But I was very kind of ironically, because I love horror now, but I was very scared of horror at the time, and so I ended up seeing Space Jam for a second time, and I've since seen it probably another 5 times. So I've seen Space Jam an inordinately large number of times in my life, and it's perfectly good. It's great fun, actually. Yeah. It's a good kids' film. Certainly, my son enjoyed it. And it made him want to go and see the sequel, which we saw a couple of weeks ago, which isn't as good, but is still fun.
Which was mooted
I'm
for a
not
long
sure that
time.
anecdote was worth telling a second time.
You said the first time you didn't think it was worth telling. I enjoyed it better that time, but I don't know.
The first time?
No, that time. This time
good.
now. Yeah.
Well, at least you did. They've only had it once. I'm sure they didn't.
I also showed it to my son the other day with a view of maybe going and see the sequel. And we decided not to go. Well, no, he liked it, but it didn't hold his attention for as much as he's more into sort of maybe deeper narratives than this. This is, he wanted to know a lot of the physics of it. How have they gone down that hole? And it didn't It doesn't work when you try to explain it, because obviously logically it's stupid. So just in case you didn't know the plot features this guy, Michael Jordan, that the film is very keen to get across to us as a basketball player. I didn't know that. Actually, it was helpful. I was really I found that exposition really helpful as a kid, because I knew nothing about Michael Jordan. I basically went to the cinema knowing nothing about Bugs Bunny, Bill Murray, or Michael Jordan. I knew Bill Murray because he was in Ghostbusters, but I didn't know much about the whole story. So the fact they explain every last detail, like what baseball is, what basketball is, was kind of helpful for me.
I mean, the actually the DVD cover is a bit of an oddity in general, and it's a shame that we didn't have this set up when we were doing, for example, Stripes and Meatballs and all of that, because the DVD front cover of that is a horror story. But this is an oddity as well, because to me that's clear that let me just do that. To me, it's clear that they've got the sort of Looney Tunes family there, but they've also got this. I never know what this is. This thing that they jump out of. In the Looney Tunes.
Oh, yes, yeah. Like, they've got the Warner Brothers logo, isn't it?
I suppose so, but they've got it twice. They've also got it there, and they've got this odd picture of Michael Jordan, which doesn't seem to be taken specifically for the film. It seems to be, or possibly has been, they photoshopped something on him. But that, to me, is not. He's not. That's just a smiling picture of Michael Jordan.
It kind of looks like I'm presenting this with Nick Jordan. Who's Nick Jordan?
So that's odd.
Yeah.
And then on top of that,
I tell you what, I still enjoy.
They're missing a few key characters as well.
I still enjoy the joke of it is interesting. They're missing a few key characters. They're missing this lass, right? They're missing Lola Bunny,
missing Lola Bunny,
who's now been desexualized for the new.
Which is one of the few things I do want to bring up again from the excised version of this video, is that they have desexualized for the sequel, which is a good thing.
Which is when we come to our scores. Yeah, that was one of the reasons that I didn't mark it as highly as I could have. I do love Space Jam, but I think it has to be stated that when we score films, there is a big difference between us liking a film and us appreciating how good a film it is.
Yeah.
So if I give a film sort of 8, for example, that's pretty low for us because we're quite generous scorers.
Yeah.
But it means that that's maybe how much I enjoyed it as opposed to how good a film it is. Because Space Jam doesn't get a good rap these days. People seem surprised by its success. Like even the sequel's been very successful, and people are like, well, the critics hate it, the fans love it. There really is a divide.
Has it been successful, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good in a way. It's nice that
but a surprise,
still fun
because LeBron James, although famous in America, not necessarily famous anywhere else in the world, not known as an actor, although he's dabbled, and Looney Tunes isn't exactly current.
No, well, I think I've got a theory for that, and I think it's the sort of nostalgia factor that people enjoy.
Yeah,
I think that goes.
It's the perfect time for parents.
Perfect time for parents to take them. It's always a good time to release a film in the summer holidays, and I think it's got a similar factor to. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which I didn't go and see in the cinema because was it released just before the pandemic? I think it was, but I missed it. But we watched it at home and really enjoyed it. But it is on a par sort of with Space Jam, I would say, in that it's a flimsy premise that's been done as well as you could possibly do it.
I think the jokes are better in Sonic the Hedgehog. I kind of prefer Sonic the Hedgehog to
I think
Space
I probably
Jam.
do as well. And I would get, certainly I think the character is more engaging. And the characters are more engaging. I think Sonic's probably a better character than, dare I say it, like Bugs Bunny. Because ultimately, when you come down to it, how would you? What is Bugs Bunny's character? Has he really got one? He seems to be a carrot,
and he plays tricks.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a character. Does
I know. I've thought about this for a long time with sort of like the Disney universe. Disney have had how many films, and how many of them have starred Mickey Mouse, their mascot?
Yeah,
he's not a character that people really want to follow.
And he's in a TV series, but again, he doesn't
where they can bury him away on TV, but they don't want him in theatres, they don't want him in cinemas.
Because he's not really much of a character.
No.
He is a mascot, just like Bugs Bunny. And in fact, the other Looney Tunes figures have got much more of a character, and they've all got a little niche to do with their character.
Yeah.
I suppose Bugs Bunny's character ultimately harks back to the kind of the vaudeville sort of stars of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. In that he bites a carrot, kind of like a cigar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, and wisecracks, and that is his character. He's kind of that. But kids do like him. I mean, so my son also really likes the character, and and will frequently kind of say, "What's up, Doc?" even though he thinks it's "What's up, Duck."
And it could well be, because he could be talking to Daffy Duck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's plausible.
What universe is Donald Duck part of?
Well, the Disney one.
Interesting.
And Donald Duck's got his own history, isn't he? Because didn't Donald Duck sort of stood up to Hitler, didn't he?
Yeah.
There's a cartoon, isn't there, where he's sort of like, they try to indoctrinate him to the Nazi party, isn't there? And he resists.
I think there is, yeah. I've not
really
seen
fascinating.
it. Have you seen it? It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be one
Some
of those.
things aren't they?
No, I know, like Song of the South, and I'm not going to get into that there
No,
because
probably not.
it's
Wise
probably
not to.
best not to. But there are,
But it
some,
exists.
Yeah, there are some things that Disney are ashamed of, and there's some things that maybe
They should be ashamed
they
of.
should be ashamed of, aren't. Yeah, but I
Like-
suppose it's like with everything.
Yeah, well, Peter Pan.
Well, it's kind of like with Bill Murray. Bill Murray's always saying how the two, terrible mistakes that he's made are Garfield 1 and Garfield 2. But obviously we could, as Bill Murray fans, having watched every single Bill Murray film that he's made, we could definitely name probably 10 films that are worse.
It's just a shame
than
that he never,
Garfield.
when people ask him what he's not a fan of, it's a shame he doesn't break the mould and say The Razor's Edge.
Yeah.
Because that would be mine.
Yeah. Limits of Control would be mine, I think, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. That's
Still
possibly
another-
worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's an odd film.
In that it's got no merit. That's what a film has to be to score so low for us. It has to have, I think, no merit.
Yeah. And some of those early ones as well.
Some of those early ones, he did those animations that we scored so low. Did we give them 2 out of 10? Like,
Something like that.
Jungle Burger and stuff like that.
in
But
fact,
I'd rather watch one of those again than Limits of Control.
In fact, if you go back in our video to Jungle Burger, someone I think has left a comment, because in the video we say something like, "No, I'm pretty sure that nobody is watching this film at this point in the world."
Yeah.
And they leave a comment saying, "Well, actually, I watched it last night," or something like that. But then I think, but you weren't watching it when you read that comment. So technically we were right.
And that film, I mean, how's anyone going to watch? I mean, Space Jam
Well,
is...
he quite liked it, I think. Yeah. So
That's
sorry
strange,
if
isn't
that's
it?
you.
Yeah,
but,
sorry.
We didn't like
Do you
it.
think it's Super Furious Roy back again?
It might have been him.
Yeah, it might have been. I get the
may
thing
be a
that
subscriber.
He's
We've
always
got
watching. Have we?
What, subscribers?
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
So Space Jam, because that's what we're here
They'll get a little notification. When
to talk about. It's interesting the way they describe it on the back. The jokes fly and the fun never stops. The jokes. There are some
I'm a bit
jokes.
scared by that.
What?
The fun never stops.
It never stops.
There
Yeah.
literally will be an unyielding sequence of fun
I know.
that won't in any way get interrupted.
But this
Imagine
is just,
that.
Yeah, this is.
You will have fun.
Yeah, that's horrific.
Yeah.
This is because it's marketed at
Stop
kids.
not having fun. Have fun.
I find that in like the CBeebies jingles and stuff. I think it's like Topsy and Tim. They go like our friendship will never end. You go,
It's like a threat.
yeah,
Our friendship will never end.
yeah,
No, never.
never.
Even in death.
You won't.
When I join you in death, we'll be friends in the afterlife.
And maybe I'll join you when you die because that's how much I want to be your friend. I want to die on the same day. CBeebies is quite dark.
Yeah.
This film is quite dark too because we talked last time in the previous one about Wayne Knight. Lovely Wayne Knight, who's been in loads of stuff. He's brilliant. And in this, they do say some horrible stuff about his
Yeah,
weight, which you wouldn't get now.
No, you wouldn't, and rightly so.
And they squash him on the floor.
Yeah.
You squash him and he's just this flat thing.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
When they
My son was like, where have his organs gone? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In that internal world, do his organs get
Yeah.
compressed?
Because I believe I suppose it's a little bit of a spoiler, I suppose, for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but Christopher Lloyd at the end gets squished, doesn't he?
Yeah, and his eyes.
And his
Oh,
eyes,
so-
it's really scary, I think.
Yeah.
Too scary, personally,
Yeah.
For a family film, really. And then there's that scene with the shoe getting dissolved as well. Which
Oh,
is
yeah,
really, really
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so Wayne Knight has that happen to him, and he's just like a disc on the floor, and that's weird.
Yeah,
it's
it
kind
is
of
weird.
So I don't know how they do that sort of special effect, because effectively they've got him
Yeah.
kind of flattened. So I guess they sort of design some sort of 3D object and map his body onto it.
The special effects are pretty good for the time.
They're
I
not
think.
bad, are they? Yeah.
Like, I think you don't really notice the joint. It's quite clear that when, like, Bugs Bunny first appears and he's, like, Michael Jordan's looking to the side and stuff like that, that he's been given marks to look at, and obviously Bugs isn't there.
Bugs is looking at his marks as well.
Yeah, I was thinking you've got to direct Bugs Bunny. I mean, that seems chaotic. But that's the thing. Halfway through, I find myself thinking, you know what, Michael Jordan's a brilliant actor. Well, maybe not brilliant, but better.
Well, I can't imagine him doing Othello.
No.
Well, actually, I could imagine him doing it.
Give him a try, because how
But then,
unlikely would this have
anyone
been?
could do Othello.
Yeah.
Could he, really get to grips with that betrayal and...
Yes. How would he say, and this is my favourite Othello quote, wash me in steep down gulfs of liquid fire? How would Michael Jordan say that? How would this man say that? I don't know.
I suppose if we were to hold a gun to his head and say, do this or we'll kill your family.
Yeah. So the beginning of the film is Michael Jordan, as a young boy, playing basketball with his father, who was a baseball player, I think, had been a baseball player. But luckily his dad's not the pushy dad, like, you're going to play baseball. He's very supportive. He's like, one more hoop? Yeah, you can, one more hoop and all that sort of thing. So he's very supportive of his son's dream. And actually that bit is strangely moving. Well, maybe not strangely, it's lovely. And then, obviously, they then cut to a press conference where he says, I'm going to give it up for baseball. I'm really glad that my dad got to see me play my last basketball match. And my son was asking me about that. And I said, well, in real life, his dad died, in between those sort of time periods that they're showing. I mean, actually, in real life, what I didn't tell my son is that Michael Jordan's dad was murdered. And he did go into baseball as a sort of tribute to him, and actually did all right. They make it look like he's awful in the film, or at least like he doesn't have a grasp of it. And for me, that's a shame, because they show in the Looney Tunes world he can succeed there. They show he can succeed on the basketball field. I feel like he's kind of the superhero of the film, whereas the Looney Tunes are the comic foil. And it's a shame to kind of, maybe they're trying to humanise him. I don't know. He's good in it. He's better than you would imagine. His kids are good. His kids aren't played by his real kids, but they have the same name as his actual kids, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's similar to, I believe, the sequel as well.
Is it? Okay.
In which his kids are not played by his real kids, and his wife is played by Sonequa Martin Green from
from Walking Dead and Star Trek Discovery,
Star Trek and other things as well, and she's really good in that. I think.
Does she have more of a role than, than his wife in this one?
Definitely, yeah. She's in it all the way through. But I would say
because Michael Jordan's wife doesn't. Sorry for interrupting.
No.
Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan's wife does not care that he's gone missing.
No,
kids are like, he's gone off to play Bugs Bunny and stuff. She's like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously didn't want to invest too much emotion into the entire film.
90s wives are rubbish, aren't they? Like in Bean, the Ultimate Disaster movie.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just going to say that, yeah, she's in it all the way through, although I think there's more of an element of his family carrying LeBron's acting in the second film.
Right, okay.
Perhaps more so than in this.
Oh, okay.
Because LeBron clearly isn't an actor and needed, I think, a lot of guidance. In my opinion, I don't know. But yes, you're just talking about 90s wives. Yeah, it was a very, very I think Pamela Reed is Peter McNichol's wife in Bean.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, they're a family that takes on Mr. Bean as a kind of sort of... Well, I mean, in fairness to her, it must have seemed a bit odd, because Mr. Bean is odd, isn't he? But,
yeah.
But he's perfectly innocent, as we all know. And then she constantly abuses her husband emotionally by threatening to leave, and then at one point does leave with his kids, which is illegal. As far as I'm aware, you can't just leave with your kids.
It's something that happens in another Bill Murray film.
Unless they're in danger, which they're not.
No. Something that happens in What About Bob, another Bill Murray film that we've looked at, where the wife just like, clearly Bob is the problem. He's a pest. He turns up. He's annoying. Yeah. He's he gets them into danger. Yeah. But she goes, oh no, it's you. You've got a problem with him. And she leaves as well with the kids, I think, or tries to.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Luckily we've got better drawn women characters these days.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Certainly now. In fact, if anything, I think the 90s was a regression from previous times when we were better drawn. Yeah. Should we do the scores?
Before we do, how about we just mention Bill Murray in this, which we haven't really talked about him much. Bill Murray is in this as a cameo. He is in it as himself, isn't he? Yes, he is himself. And there's a slide. Apparently, Ivan Reitman directed the bits that Bill Murray was in, or just stepped in to direct because he had more of a hand on how to handle him, maybe. There's a bit where he says,
I didn't know that, actually. That's interesting.
There's a bit where he says Wayne Knight says something to him like, how are you here? Which is a good question, because he just walks in. Wayne Knight has to get kidnapped there. Michael Jordan has to get sucked for a hole. Bill Murray just wanders in. Which kind of is, I guess, a joke about his star power and all that stuff, because he's the most accomplished, or the most experienced actor probably out of all of them there, I suppose.
I suppose so.
Well,
yeah.
Dan Castellaneta does appear, doesn't he, in a crowd scene?
Yes, yes. Although Bill Murray, certainly by that point, was certainly more facially
established, yeah.
recognisable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
You
But
know, although Dan Castellaneta had been in a lot of films.
Bill Murray is hilarious in it. The best line in this for me is when I think someone, is it Michael Jordan, says Larry's white, and he says Larry isn't white, Larry's clear.
Yeah. That's weird. I read that this morning. That must have been on your review.
Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Which
That's
one's Larry?
Larry is the other basketball player that's playing golf with him, isn't it?
Right. Yes. I'm with you.
I get a lot. Oh, actually, all the basketball players are really good as well. In that sequence, which I think actually possibly the best sequence, my favourite sequence of the whole film, is when the basketball players get their talent stolen by these aliens, the Monstars, led by Danny DeVito.
That's the key plot, really.
That is the key plot. Yeah, I should have mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And
right.
no, I mean I should have done.
No.
What? Oh,
no, I know.
Gone, all right.
No, I said it's all right.
Oh, okay.
God. But in any case...
And they're really good, the basketball players. No, they act really well. And I think there's something really good about that story. Like, they're not who they wanted to be. Like, they are impotent. They don't have the power they had.
Yeah.
You know, there's a montage that's really good where there's some sort of R&B track that's played at the same time as they're all talking to a psychiatrist about losing their powers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really good. That's the best bit of the film for me. The rest of the film's good. And when Bill Murray turns up and there's this whole joke about, I'm going to be like a basketball player now. And then at the end he says he's retiring. He does nothing. He turns up, he throws a ball to like Lola Bunny or something. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the joke. But it's a cameo. It's just a cameo for him.
And it's a good one. It's a good cameo.
One, yeah.
Considering he's had a few cameos, actually. You know,
this is
in lots of popular films, including
what's his best cameo?
Spies Like Us is quite a good one.
Yeah. Little Shop of Horrors possibly is his best cameo, with maybe the new Ghostbusters being his weakest, possibly.
Possibly.
In terms of his performance.
Yeah. Right, I think
scores.
It's time for scores and then a Murray Mint.
Scores and then a Murray Mint. Okay, so scores. So you gave this 8.25. I gave this 8.5, giving it an average of...
Oh, right. 8.375.
Well done.
Hey,
good maths.
High five.
Let's have a high five. Let's have a Murray Mint. That's a good score, isn't it? And,
yeah, that's a fair score, especially for us. Thank you. Right, obviously I've got to try and catch it in my mouth.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah.
Oh, that one in my eye. We found one of these down there the other day. Oh, this is awful. Hey,
well done.
I've got to be careful with my celebrations because they're really not chocolates. When I swallow a mint, because it really breaks the sound balance.
Oh, does
again,
it? Okay.
a conversation for another time. Right,
I'm going to close with this. Bye. That was blurry. I don't know if that could have been seen.
It doesn't matter.
Alice, I'm going to ask you a couple of standard questions. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Okay, I'm going to teach you a little something about Bill Murray.
I'm very excited. I'm very pleased. I want you to get right down there. No studying.